Namaste, everyone. Today is the fifth of the series of sessions we have been having for Jeevan Vidya Ek Parichaya English translation. So far we had Rishta doing 2 sessions and then Spencer doing 2 sessions. We have covered about 54 pages already in this book. And in this, along with the reading of the books, we also had the sharing of experiences of these people who have come, and we had some good question and answer sessions as well. So this has been good progress so far. I think the point till which Spencer took us in the last thing, he talked about Jivan as such, that even the self, which has always been enigmatic, mysterious, uh, and all the sadhanas are essentially have been meant for understanding what is self and what is the reality of consciousness. So here Babaji actually describes self and to be a constitutionally complete atom or Gathan Poon Parmanu, right? And there he talks about that it is a distinct reality from body, and human is a combined expression of Jivan and body, right? So then Spencer also talked about that, okay, we build the reality out there based on our the way we view things, the way we understand things. And if we build the reality around us on the foundation of something which is changing and something which is impermanent, then in that case, it is bound to actually collapse sooner or later. But instead, if we actually build the foundation of our living uh, on the reality which is permanent, which is eternal, then in that case, there is a possibility that we see uh, our relationships and uh, all the all the things that are concerning our living in a holistic way, right? And not something that we basically do for a temporary basis, right? So we also had some discussion about that. Uh, does this actually entail universal values, right? So we talked about that this gives us a framework. This gives us the framework for understanding reality as it is. So first is the understanding, which is understanding of coexistence. And then it is about vyavastha, about the way the things are within uh, this vyavastha, things are having complementariness, right? So that comes the third thing, that if there is an orderliness, there has to be complementariness within its components. So each complementariness is essentially a description of a relationship, right? So in this relationship, we if we actually fulfill that relationship, that is what is would be the meaning of values, right? So then we have the concept of universal human values. When we look at the level of society, then we have the concept of universal human character. And when we look at it in terms of uh, the whole systems, then we have the concept of universal human ethics. So in this way, basically, the humane conduct becomes the basis with which humans can organize themselves and live in harmony, right? So that is the essential message of this darshan, that reality as such is coexistence. Existence itself is coexistence, and all their its manifestations are essentially of coexistence only. And humans being the part of it, also, there is a possibility for them to actually align with it and live by it. right? So today we have Jay Kishan Agrawal as our Prabodhak for he will be reading out from the point Spencer left. Jay is I shared the introduction about Jay. Maybe he will share some of his background before he starts. So I met Jay at Manav Teerth a few times, and he's a brilliant student there, putting all his efforts right for uh, in understanding and also practicing in the living, right? Also, I met his family at Utsav uh, Parisar near Achhoti, right? Where Mahavir Bhai and a few other families are trying to live out the understanding along with participating uh, in various ways in the school that is there, and also the Abhyuday Sansthan that is there. So Abhyuday Sansthan in Achhoti, as you know, is one of the place where uh, we have many workshops happening of Jeevan Vidya, right? And also there are programs of study that actually take place there. So around Abhyuday Sansthan, there are a number of families have now settled down, and or you can say family groups have settled down, and they actually are in the process of living out this understanding. It's quite interesting, and how gradually and organically this place has actually built, uh, and slowly they are impacting the environment around it. Uh, and so some other time we will talk about it. So now over to Jay to actually take us through. Welcome, Jay.
Thank you, Tauji. As Tauji have already said in the introduction, my name is Jay. I am from Achhoti, Raipur, Chhattisgarh. Currently, I am enrolled at Manav Teerth. Here, I am living as a first year Ratanati and studying the Madhyasth Darshan and trying to get into the practice as well. So, here's my small introduction. So, we may now start the reading. Tauji. Am I audible, Tauji?
Yes, you are audible. Yeah, good. Please.
So, before we start the reading, I just want to put a context behind it, what the chapter is saying. So if you see the chapter which is named Jeevan Vidya, here the two types of information which I can see primarily has written. The first is Babaji is saying that Jeevan is a Sukha-kanchi, that it requires a continuous state of happiness. And in order to achieve that state, a person has to get awakened first and understand the reality. And he's propounding that there are three realities to understand, which we call the Astatva Darshan Gyan, Jeevan Gyan, and Manvita Punachna Gyan. So in this chapter, we're going to see a glimpses of all these three gyans, which is existential knowledge, Jeevan knowledge, and the human-centered knowledge. The second point which I'm going to raise here is Babaji is trying to place his darshan, the Madhyasth Darshan, as an alternative of idealism and materialism. At one point, Babaji is expressing a lot of gratitude toward the tradition that whatever the practices, whatever the guidance, whatever the sanitya of his Guruji is got from, he is expressing a lot of gratitude towards it. But at the same time, he's also saying that there was something missing. There was something which haven't discovered yet in the earth before, which he is able to discover and propound it in discussion. So in this chapter, we're going to see some information related to placing the darshan as an alternative as well. So these are the first movie or just wanted to put before we start the reading. We may start the reading now. बाबा जी और माता जी को नमन करते हुए मैं अपनी बात शुरू करता हूँ. The evidence of understanding will not be found in any other animal species. Coexistence encompasses complementaries, evolution, development, progression, development, and awakening. Only humans have the way and potential for understanding all these forms. Nature, saturated in omnipotence, is existence, which is the crux of understanding it. These are found to be thoroughly intertwined with one another, internally inseparable, continuously extant and present. There is no way of separating nature from omnipresence. There's no purpose of separating this. There is this separation possible, not is this separation possible. We will not be able to achieve anything by imagining something which is not there in existence. It is a matter of understanding and evidencing what is there in existence. Existence itself is manifested in the four orders. So if you look at this paragraph, I can draw three majorly points in the explanation. Point number one, Babaji is saying that in the existence, there are two types of realities. One we call the nature and the another one we call omnipotence, which is space or vyapa. Point number two, Babaji is also establishing the relationship between them. That the nature is submerged in omnipotence, which is Dubha Bhiga Gira, which we call in Hindi in Vyapa. Point number three is the comparison of tables. We can see in idealism, people have concluded that the nature is a myth, it's a maya, it's an illusion. And the only reality which is omnipotence. On the other hand, the materialism have concluded that the nature is the only reality and there's nothing like omnipotence, vastavikta or reality. But here at Madhyasth Darshan, we are saying that nature and omnipotence both are considered as a part of reality and a part of existence. They both exist as they are. So this was the first paragraph. Second paragraph. If we aren't able to evidence that, we would neither be able to live in the orderliness of family nor in the orderliness of society. We end up suffering everywhere. The human population on this earth has crossed 7 billion, but our orderly living hasn't happened. Increase or decrease in population doesn't lead to human understanding. What is the purpose of human tradition? It is to evidence resolution, prosperity, fearlessness, and coexistence. Coexistence is living with complementaries. Fearlessness is trust in the present. Prosperity is producing in excess of our family needs. Resolution is living with justice. So to elaborate this paragraph, I would like to use an example, which I think most of us can relate with it. When I was at class 10, my whole goal of life was to complete class 10 with good marks. Right? And after achieving that, I came to 12. My goal changed and my whole goal became to complete the class 12 with good marks. And I realized that the previous goal, which I was thinking to achieve, became a medium for my new goal. And the same happens, the new goal of achieving class 12 becomes a medium to achieve a good goal, which is going to a good college. I have seen this happening with the same in my relationship as well. A person gets a good college, then the goal becomes a good job, then a goal becomes good marriage, then the goal becomes good kids. So we can see by achieving each and every goal, our goal becomes a medium for another goal. So the question arises that is there any goal, is there any place, is there any destination which I can achieve and being there and say that okay, this is the goal which I wanted to achieve, and there's no scope for a new goal. And there's no scope that this goal becomes a medium for another goal. So Babaji says, yes, there's a goal which we call human goal in terms of resolution, prosperity, fearlessness, and coexistence, which is a true goal. By achieving that goal, we can say that I am able to experience the fullest what I can do. The second question arises here is, why these four are only? Why not one, why not two, why not five? So to answer this question, if you see a human being, there are four dimensions of living in every human being. The first we call financial aspect. A person do a job, a person do a business, a person do any professional thing to get better and better. So he or she has a financial aspect in his life. The second aspect we call relationship aspect, the relationship ion. A person has family, a person has friends, society, neighbors, and etc. So there's a second ion in a Jeevan, in a human being. The third is intellectual dimension of a living. We go to study, we go to learn, we go to school, we go to college. So we have an intellectual ayam in our living. The fourth dimension, which we call Anubhavayam, which we call experience dimension. We used to think why I am born. We used to think what's my purpose. We used to think, is there any God? Is there any evil? So these are all like that. Babaji is saying that my each and every ayam in each and every dimension of living gets success by achieving a human goal. And by achieving a human goal, I'm able to live fully with each and every dimension of my living. And living each and every dimension of my life successfully is what Darshan is saying to do. So this was the explanation of human goal from my side. We can start the reading of third paragraph. We could not achieve the understanding in human tradition from all the efforts in idealism and materialism. Its root cause is not understanding existence as coexistence. When I read that sentence, the question arises in me that why people weren't able to understand existence as coexistence. So to elaborate this, if you see the process of dharana, dhyan, samadhi, what sadhak used to do in idealism, dharana is a place where sadhak is focusing just on one nature, one entity. Let's say it's a Durga Mata Murti, sculpture of God. So he, after achieving a command on it, a person just focus on the one part of that sculpture, the Murti. Let's say it's the ear, its eye, it's a nose. So it's a state of dhyan when a focus is on just a one point. And after achieving a command on it, the one point, the point which is focusing on, also get vanished and removed. And this is the called state of samadhi, where you can't see the nature and you can't see the entity around you. You can just experience or understand the space behind around you. Whereas what Babaji have done in the samadhi Sanyam process, in the Sanyam, he has seen the nature, the entity, and the omnipotence, both of them, and also seen the relationship between them, which is Dubhapika Girapan. So that's why he's able to understand existence as coexistence, but the people of Samadhis weren't able to understand this phenomena. So it was the explanation. We can continue the reading. We erred in understanding Jeevan and its awakening in a coexistence. As a result, a tradition of understanding could not be established. How could humans live in orderliness without the tradition? In the absence of understanding, our balance living judicially with humans and lawfully with the rest of the nature, animal, plant, and material order could not happen. This is the reason humans have kept destroying their natural surroundings. So in this paragraph, Babaji is clearly saying that we weren't able to understand the human wisely, and the resultant, we weren't able to make the system and policies as per that. And as a resultant, we can see there is a disharmony or disbalance between the system. For example, we can see the government used to aware people to say no to tobacco and alcohol, and on the other hand, they used to allow sellers to sell the same. So we can see there is a disharmony among the system because we weren't able to understand the human wisely and the Jeevan and the difference between Jeevan and Sharir. When we continue with the fourth paragraph, humans haven't found justice yet. When chief justices of high courts were asked about it, they said we pass judgments, we don't do justice. If the judicial courts don't know justice, how true would it be to call them places of justice? Especially when the same courts tell you to speak the truth, when truth can be found in such courts. So here Babaji is saying that the justice which they are talking about, they don't know what is justice exactly. Recently, I have got to know that Babaji used to meet a lot of judges and lawyers of that time. And they used to call Babaji to meet them at maybe 12 p.m., 1 a.m., and 2 a.m. at night. So Babaji used to meet a lot of judges at that time also. He filed a case as well in the court to get his home. The government was asking to take his home, which he got from a king of that time. So here's the story of Babaji. You can move to further page. In the same way, what work does the executive branch do other than uncovering mistakes and crimes and then attempting to stop them by making more mistakes and crimes? All government machinery is deployed to this end. The understanding is fundamental for human awakening. If it reaches every human, then they shall be able to live with justice. Resolution, prosperity, fearlessness, and coexistence naturally come about upon living with justice. Resolution shall not come about without living with justice. Therefore, justice is the backbone of human life. Justice is first evidence in a wise family, then it is evidence in a society, and on the whole earth in the form of universal orderliness. Humans remain satisfied, happy, and resolved by living with justice. Their trust in the present keeps becoming firmer, and their behavior keeps becoming more refined. All of these are accomplished by spontaneously by living with justice. In this context, it is said that one attains this upon earning a great deal of virtue. I now understand that meaning of virtue is becoming wise. So in this portion, we can see that Babaji is clearly stating In order to attain a human goals, a person has to live with justice first. And in order to live with justice, a person has to understand first. So in conclusion, Babaji is saying that whatever the desires we have, maybe desiring for happiness, maybe desiring for peace, contamination, bliss, satisfaction, all of them can get through by understanding, which we call samajh barabar sukh. Understanding is equals to happiness. But how do we think it logically? So here's what I have concluded for myself, that how understanding is equals to happiness for me, which I can share with you. We human beings are thinking creatures, right? We used to think on our actions. If we see our today living, we have concluded or dependent our most of the actions and emotions on the actions what we do. For example, I used to get happiness by having an ice cream, by watching a movie, by buying a car, by buying a phone, or going to vacation, etc., etc. Here we are saying that most of the emotions and our feelings are not dependent just on the actions, but what the state of mind we have. So when my state of mind gets aligned, my actions always get aligned. And if this situation happens, I can feel the state of happiness, peace, and contamination in me. And my state of mind can get in harmony only through understanding. So in this equation, we can see that understanding is the only medium which can lead me to a state of happiness. So this was the explanation. In the wisdom tradition, humans spontaneously start evidencing their potential, ability, and receptivity. Potential is the carrying activity. What do they carry? Humans carry either delusion or awakening. Delusion vanishes on its own upon the awakening. Humans are sanskar conformity units. Therefore, tradition is the source of understanding or delusion for them. The extant traits of tradition get inducted and accepted in a human child from the time of birth. This is followed by Purusharth and Paramarth. It is on the basis of Purusharth and Paramarth that human get liberated from delusion upon becoming wise. Liberation from delusion means living with Jeevan's awakening. The education we have reached from tradition so far is only for living with respect to the body. The fact that this education builds an obsession for profit, sex, and consumption bears witness to this. While human nature is fundamentally different from animals. Due to Jeevan, humans have multifaceted expressions. Humans want resolution while no animal, plant or stone wants resolution. Humans want prosperity while no animal or bird wants prosperity. No animal such as tiger, cow, snake, or pig has a tendency to hoard. Ants too don't hoard with the aim of accumulation. They instinctively collect what they find. Humans, on the other hand, have the willful tendency of comfort and accumulation because of their lust for overconsumption. It is for this reason, in place of resolution and orderliness, comfort and accumulation have become the goal of our life. Our perspective has remained limited to pleasure, health, and profit. And as a result, we have continued to suffer, struggle, and become oppressed. So in this process, Babaji is saying that in order to get understand, a person has to develop three things in it, which is called ability, potential, and receptivity. Potential is a carrying activity. It's a grahan kriya. So a person may grahan two things, except two things. Either it be a delusion, either it be awakening. And both of them come through tradition only. And here Babaji is saying that there are two major delusions which came up in us from the tradition. Number one, we are thinking ourselves as a body. मैं शरीर हूँ, ये हमने सिखाया. You are not able to distinguish between the Jeevan and the Sharir. The second delusion is we have considered humans as a part of Animalia order. If you see the classification of science, they have put Monera, Protista, Plantae, Fungi, and Animalia. And in the Animalia, they have put the humans as the most evolved species. So what Babaji is trying to say is, when we think this as a manyata, as imagination, as a fundamental for ourselves, the goal became the accumulation and luxury only, which we have talked earlier, that the goal which we are making, the luxury and accumulation, is never an end. After achieving a certain amount, we want to achieve a bigger amount than that. So it's not a destiny, it's just a medium for another goal. So we can see that as a resultant, we won't find any satisfaction by achieving that goal as well. So this was the explanation. The only way out of this difficulty is to understand Jeevan's awakening, coexistence, and human conduct. Humans are the most developed entities in existence, as Jeevan as well as the body. Jeevan uses the body for evidencing its existence and awakening. Jeevan keeps the body alive all the time while using it, and subsequently starts believing that the body itself is Jeevan. This is the delusion of Jeevan while living in animal consciousness. Eventually, Jeevan starts again with a new body with the purpose of evidencing itself. Naturally, it is distressing for Jeevan to fail again and again in achieving its purpose. It's not a matter of virtue or sin, it is to do with understanding or ignorance. Understanding is inherited from tradition, hence, understanding has to be present in tradition. Any one person's becoming wise will not result in emancipation of the whole world. Emancipation of the whole world. Such ideas only have made us fearful and helpless. In the preview of human conduct, every human can live with the rightfully owned wealth, rightful martial relationship, and kindness in work and behavior. The right use and security of our body, mind, and wealth also happens by living in this way. And when these two are harmonized, then justice as a relationship, values, evaluation, and mutual satisfaction become self-evident. So in this paragraph, we can clearly see that Babaji is addressing the 2 points, the two delusions which he has talked about in the previous page, that humans are the most evolved species on the earth, and they are the only species which can able to understand. And by understanding only, they can able to get in the order and participate in the bigger order only. So yeah, this was the paragraph. In this way, human conduct gets explained as the combined form of values, character, and ethics. The right use and security of resources in the form of body, mind, and wealth is ethics. Values are fulfilled only by way of recognizing relationship. For example, when someone recognizes the relationship with their father, mother, or guru in the sense of orderliness, then the values feelings are expressed on their own, resulting in fulfillment of values. Where we don't recognize the relationship, there is no expression of values. Suppose someone is sitting alone in a train compartment and a stranger enters that compartment. When one who was sitting there first, their hands and legs start getting stretched on their own. They don't want anyone to sit there. At the same place, if a known person enters, then they would even offer their own seat. Therefore, recognizing relationship is very important. The study of relationship happens based on their purpose. For example, nurturing as the primary purpose of the relationship of mother and protection as the primary purpose of the relationship of father is the basis of their study. Humans don't make mistakes after they have recognized all the relationship. In the absence of this recognition, they are bound to make mistakes. So, to elaborate this paragraph, if we see on Earth, we have 4 orders. We have material, we have plant, we have animal, and we have knowledge order. Except humans, the other 3 orders are in orderliness and are participating in the bigger order. Humans have yet to achieve that state. And Baba is saying the only way which human can achieve that state is by being in a human conduct, which is Manyata Punacharan. So when a person is able to live with values, ethics, and character, is able to live in orderliness, and is able to participate in the bigger order as well. And in this paragraph, is elaborating that values, ethics, and uh, character, and also expressing the relationship and the values in it. If you see, the expectations are nihit in each and every someone. Is it inherent in each and every someone? And to fulfill that each and every values and expectation, we have a specific participation or bhagidari in each and every relationship. And by fulfilling that participation, that responsibility, we can feel that values in ourselves, and we can feel, and the other party can also feel the same values in themselves as well. So each and every relationship has a fixed responsibilities, fixed duties, and by fulfilling that responsibilities, we can feel the mutual values in ourselves in our relationship. So this was the paragraph. It became obvious from seeing the propaganda of the prevalent system of the state and religion that these have been designed for criminals. Both of these are busy in the redemption of criminals in their own way. All these systems could not impart understanding to humans. Every human wants to become wise and honest, but these systems have not been able to show the path of honesty. Every human wants to become responsible, but these systems could not provision the purpose or responsibility in the tradition. People have wished for universal well-being, that everyone should have a family, that everyone should be happy, etc. We all have repeated such words. However, mere utterance or repetition doesn't result in finding the path. The book which talks of universal well-being, the same book says that the whole world is an illusion, and God is a real father and mother whose refugee we must seek. No good came of it. After going to the real mother and father, there is no human to be found. Then whose good will happen and where? All these stories don't lead to any purpose. It is upon awakening wise that human purpose becomes clear. Purpose is innate in our relationships. What is the purpose? The purpose is only in the sense of accomplishing resolution, prosperity, fearlessness, and coexistence. The purpose of all relationship is linked only with these goals. So a tradition is formed by aligning with these. The tradition shall only be of understanding. Ignorance will not result in an unbroken tradition. As a result, no tradition in the sense of universal good could be formed so far. The products of present education believe that they are most intelligent, while the world is stupid. Millions of such graduates are being produced every year. How can we fix? How can we make each one of them wise? From where shall we bring so many doctors to fix them? So we have talked the Mandata Pranachal and human context in the previous page. In context, I got to listen to a story that uh, we don't have a clear picture of the human conduct. We used to feel that human conduct is a behavior where someone is pleasing someone else and making good to another one. But as far as know, and Rakesh will be able to tell it better, that Baba used to scream out loud to the people. So it's not a place where people is just pleasing. It's a place it's contributing towards the jagrati of that person. So whether it required a dart or whether it required a welcome, both of them was given by the Babaji. And there's a story that once Babaji went to IIT Delhi and there the people were sitting in the front of them and Babaji asked a cup of coffee. So and suddenly some one mosquito get into his head and Babaji did like that. So people were like, "Ki kaisa sadhak hai?" Which used to ask a coffee and used to kill the mosquitoes. So look, I don't have a clear picture of what Mamata Panasana will look like, but after reading the stories and getting to know with people, I get a picture that okay, yeah, this is the Mamata Panasana which we can do. So coming to this paragraph, in this paragraph, Babaji is saying that the systems are not designed to make someone criminal free. The system is designed to actually make criminals or to tackle the criminals, but not to make people not attempt a crime. Right. He also another point which I've seen in this paragraph is Baba is establishing the purpose of each and every relationship. If we compare with it, idealism and materialism, in idealism, people have concluded that relationships are an obstacle for the growth. They have considered that संबंधों से जागृति बाधा आती है. And if you see in the materialism, people have concluded relationship as a object of bhog, what we call bhog consumption. We can see in America and some countries that so many divorces and the rate of living relationship has gone through. So we can see they have not understood relationship with the responsibility. They have considered the relationship only on the basis of physical activity. But here Babaji is saying that each and every relationship has a purpose, and that's why living in a family is a great deal and a only medium by one which you can achieve the Jagriti and the awakening. So he's also establishing the purpose of each and every relationship in it. So this was the paragraph which we can now start the reading. Before that, I just want to take a sip of water. No one accepts anything until they have themselves understood it. I am myself a witness to this. Witness to this. I was surrounded by Ved Murtis in my family, neighborhood, and village. Still, they could not make me read the Vedas because I didn't want to read. So there's a line Baba used to say, Ghor Parishram, Ghor Seva, and Ghor Vidvata, which is extreme hard work, extreme hospitality, and extreme uh, intellectuality. To give a context, Babaji accepted the extreme hard work and extreme hospitality from his tradition, but he didn't accept the extreme Vidvata, which they used to call the chanting and memorizing the Ved sculptures. So, to give a context, Babaji did plantation of 1,500 coconut trees at the age of 16 and 15. And to dig each coconut tree, you have to dig a 5 to 6 feet hole, a deep hole. So around he has dig 5 to 6 feet hole, around 3,000, because you have to transplant the tree from after certain time. So at the age of 15 16, he has done all of these parishram. And he used to go to khet, he used to go to farm at the age of 60 as well and do the hull chalai as well. And if we talk about the hospitality, the place of Babaji which we're living is a hub for the guests. So the guests used to come at any time in the house, and Babaji used to help his mother. And you can't enter in the kitchen without taking a bath. So you first have to take a bath and then enter to the kitchen to help. Babaji used to sometimes wake up at 2 p.m., 2 a.m., 1 a.m., 12 a.m., and then take a bath and then to the kitchen to help to his mother. So that extreme level hospitality and shram he has done in his life. And later on in the part of intellectuality, he has also got something that he is able to read all the Vedas and able to memorize it very fastly after meeting his Guruji. So yeah, that's another story. We can talk it later about. However, every human on earth wants to become wise. On this basis, there is a complete possibility that every human becomes wise. It is only after seeing this tendency that I started this movement. It is started with an honest ambition to make every human wise. Owing to this movement, those who have understood human nature have found relief, and such qualities have risen in them, which we call humane. So to elaborate this portion, I would like to use an example. Uh, let's consider a movie, right? In a movie, there are two types of character exist. One which we call hero, and another one we call villain. I used to ask a question that what is the difference between a hero and a villain? So let's say a villain a villain steals money, a villain used to uh, fight with people, a villain used to kill the people, and etc. The hero also do the same. The hero also steals the money, a hero also kills the people, and a hero also fight with people. So how we are differentiating a hero and a villain? So the terms come intention. That a hero does all the action with a good intent, and a villain do all the action with a bad intent. The same happens in the living as well. In our living, with our family and relationship, we don't judge people just on the basis of the action they do, but with what intent they have done that particular action. So we won't get offended by seeing that or experiencing that habit or that action, but we get offended by judging the intention of that person, what we have done to it. So there's a line that we are lawyers for ourselves and judges for others. So when I do mistake, I say to myself that I have done mistakenly. And if others do the same, I used to say that, oh, usne jam uche kiya hai. He has done with intentionally. So here's a pattern which I used to follow that whenever I get offended with someone, let's say someone habit, someone any other word, I used to ask myself, okay, let's consider whether it may be a good or not action, but is the intention was right or wrong? So 99% I found that intention used to be always right or not the intention with hurting me, but the actions used to be right or wrong maybe. So when I think that the other person don't not willing to hurt me intentionally, I came at peace. And I found this practice very useful for me, which you can guys also try. That shouldn't judge the intention on the basis of actions they do. So I used to come at very peace. and something like that happened to me. So yeah, this was the paragraph, how I am able to interpret it in behavioral aspect of my living to this paragraph. The basic element of ethics is deploying resources in the form of body, mind, and wealth for the sake of purpose. It is called the right use. Right use happens in two ways. One, deploying body, mind, and wealth for production and seva. Point number two, devoting body, mind, and wealth for realizing the purpose of relationship. So if we see, he's elaborating the ethics part of the human conduct. And this is the part where person is participating in the bigger order, which is called Naitikta. And there's an interesting story I recently got to heard, that somebody asked Babaji that he's feeling loneliness in his life. He's missing Babaji. So Babaji said, ki, you haven't fixed your bhagidari in the vyavastha yet. You haven't fixed your response participation in the bigger order yet. So we can see whatever the loneliness in today's world we can see is all about we aren't able to see the participation of ourselves in the bigger order. So it is a part of our living that we are getting something and able to what we can say, pass on to something else to for a bigger purpose, to make the existence, to make the earth uh, sorry heaven. Yeah. The second paragraph, the resource that is put to right use becomes secure. How do we mean the sentence that the resource that is put to right use becomes secure, which we call sadupyogi suraksha hai. So to elaborate this statement, I would like to use an example that let's say we have a high quality seed of wheat or anything like that. The one way to secure it to put it on a chemical and put it on a lab, so we can secure it wisely. The another way is we could plant it on the land and then the soil will produce it, and again we can get the seed again. We can get the seed again. So here we are saying the best way is to use it wisely. So when we use the product wisely, automatically it got secured in the tradition, in the parampara. So here's an example to elaborate the sadupyogi suraksha hai. Yeah. And that for which we do the right use of resource also becomes secure, vice versa. This is what we mean by right use and security. Our resources in the form of body, mind, and wealth become secure when we deploy them for resolution, prosperity, orderliness, with trust in the present and coexistence. These result in the right use of our wealth. There won't be security without right use, and there can't be right use without security. Right use and security leads to internal well-being. Right tendencies continuously inspire us to deploy our body, mind, and wealth for our awakening. Yeah. So he's saying that in this paragraph, he's saying that when we use our resources properly, then only we can get the state of contamination or the state of happiness which we are trying to achieve. This was the paragraph. If there could be a wise unit in coexistence, that then that is only human. Humans are combined forms of Jeevan and body. Human body follows species tradition. Jeevan is naturally present in coexistence as a continuously complete atom, wherein there is no human contribution. The body is the contribution of human tradition. This is a natural order. The need for union of Jeevan and body is only for the Jeevan to evidence its awakening, while animal bodies don't have a provision of evidencing understanding. Therefore, humans are understood to be a sanskar confirmatory units. Bearing humans, all three orders in nature are mutually complementary. The need now is for humans also to become complementary. Humans can live in orderliness only with complementaries, which cannot happen on the basis of individualism and hedonism. The two ideologies of the past, materialism and detachmentism, led to humans become individualistic. Materialism leads to humans becoming hedonist, and as a consequence, individualistic. The detachment is anyway individualistic. In this way, both these lines of thinking don't yield any maximum for the formation of society. Instead, they only turn out to be against society. Humans, though, want to live in society. They want to live in the coexistence. They want to live with prosperity. They want to live with resolution. And it is the responsibility of humans to achieve these three objectives: coexistence, prosperity, and resolution. So, many times Baba used to say that humans is a sanskar confirmatory species, that the humans are only able to understand. We can now see in the today world, we are trying to make an AI which can learn and think like human and be with the emotions, which is never gonna case, because the humans are the only species which can understand and feel the emotions. It's also saying that um, there's an inherent tendency of a human or desire to live in society and live in families, but we couldn't able to make them work out. So we went to the individualistic and materialism. So हमें संबंध समझ में नहीं आया, तो इसलिए हम बाहर गए. So if we able to understand them wisely, we can able to live them wisely, and that is the inherent desire of us as well, to live in society and to live with people and around us in the community. So yeah, this was the page. Understanding naturally leads to responsibility. As we talk, as we take up responsibility, we naturally become worthy of living in a family and society. As a result, we evidence universality in living. We need such a splendid tradition. Every human hopes for orderliness, aspires for orderliness, and according to me, even desires orderliness. But this desire is lower in priority than several other desires. Therefore, the desire of orderliness doesn't become strong, and as a result, humans remain incapable of dedicating themselves to it. They became helpless due to living in animal consciousness. What should be done, therefore? Let's make those people proficient who are ready to understand immediately, and through them practice human education. Is the educational institutions, and instill sanskar in their children. As sanskar gets instilled in children, their homes and families will naturally undergo a transformation. In this manner, there is a need for humanization of education to make it meaningful, which is the second plan. So here in this paragraph, Babaji is saying that whatever change we are trying to make in society, it can be done only through the education, right? Education is the key to make the society change by sanskar. So there's an interesting story that one person came from America who's working on an NGO and education, came to meet Babaji, and Babaji asked me, one drop of water plus one drop of water equals to how much drop of water? So the person replied, 2 drop of water. So Babaji said, 1 drop of water only. So he wanted to say that पुस्तक को छोड़ो, reality को देखो. So the education doesn't mean the textbooks only. It means to make it in the acharan, in the conduct as well. And if you see into today education, the students which are going through it, they have a tendency of profit, sex, and consumption in it, in their lives, in their goals. But if you see the textbook, there you won't find any line or sentence which stating to achieve the goals, to achieve that, to make a tendency of sex, consumption, and profit. So how it became? So here, education doesn't mean the textbook. Here, education means the culture around it. So it's not the textbook what we read; it's the culture we are living through with it. So I have read the line that acharan hi shiksha hai, that conduct is a real education. So it's also establishing the real meaning of education is what is. So yeah, this was the paragraph. The units of material order, plant order, and animal order are complementary for humans. However, humans becoming complementary to them is still awaited. This gap needs to be filled. Only then orderliness in human living will be evident. The values of human awakened Jeevan are happiness, peace, contentment, and bliss. Human goals are accomplished by realizing Jeevan values. These goals are resolution, prosperity, fearlessness, and coexistence. When humans' goals are evident, Jeevan values are also evident. Resolution is equals to happiness. We realize happiness wherever we are resolved, and we suffer wherever we are unresolved. Thereafter, we realize peace while evidencing resolution and prosperity in the family. We realize contentment and bliss while living in orderliness. We realize bliss in the course of evidencing or understanding. In this manner, as we evidence this course, the evidence of understanding will become established in the tradition. We are capable of realizing happiness, peace, contamination, and bliss in the sequence. So, in this paragraph, it's clearly stated that there are two desires, there are two values. Sorry, there are values and goals. So, Jeevan wants values, which is Sukh, Shanti, Santosh, Anand, happiness, peace, contamination, and bliss. And the human goals are resolution, prosperity, fearlessness, and coexistence. So, in this paragraph, Babaji is establishing the relationship between them, that by evidencing human goal, a person is able to feel or experience the Jeevan values, which is Jeevan happiness, peace, and contamination and bliss. So it's also establishing the relationship that resolution leads to happiness, prosperity leads to peace, and so on. So this was the paragraph. Jeevan has inexhaustible strength and power. We can therefore keep expressing and evidencing resolution continuously, while Jeevan remains in the state of satisfaction. So here's a point that we used to think the success or the destiny as a point. But here Babaji is trying to explain that the success or the destination is not a point, but it's actually a state of continuity. So we used to think of our life as a goal in terms of point, that once you want to achieve that point, we will make happy, one happy, and then the next point. But Babaji is saying that the success is not a point, it's actually a state where the feeling remains continuity, and the which get transferred in the tradition as well. So yeah, this was the question. Jeevan is strength in state, sthiti, and power in motion, gati. So, uh, how do we differentiating the sthiti and the gati, which is state and the motion? So we can give a term that state is how we be, and the motion how we look. So we can clearly differentiate that. Let's say a respect. So touching the feet of an elder is a motion of respect, but having a feeling of respect is a being part. It's a sthiti part. It's a state part. So we should clearly differentiate between the being and looking. That I may look confident, and looking confident and being confident, looking happy and being happy. So both of these are different things, which is called state and motion. And we can see in today's world, we have learned how to look happy and look confident, but not to be confident and how to be happy. And therefore, the identity crisis arises, that we are focuses just on the looking part of our lives. You can see in the social media, we are just showing how we look, but not trying to focus on the how we are. So Babaji is saying that there should be a harmony between the state and the motion, the being part and looking part. So we should not just focus on the looking part, but we should focus on the how we being actually. And so this was the purpose of saying this, that we are able to differentiate the state and the motion wisely. The motion activities of Jeevan are evidence in the mutuality of one another. The state activities are realized within the self, which is explaining. We realize whether or not we become satisfied with the state taste activity. We realize whether or not we found satisfaction in the deliberation activity. So Babaji used to say that to understand anything, we have to understand its activity. We can understand it through by its activity. So in order to understand Jeevan, we have to understand the activity of Jeevan. So he have introduced two activity of Jeevan, do kriyaएं, which is aswadan and chayan, which is called tasting and deliberation. And I think the time is going on, which we can continue to another class, which I can start explaining the what is aswadan and what is chayan and how do we mean actually. So this was from my side, whatever I have understood it, and I would like to thank Rakesh Tawji for giving me this opportunity And I also thank the whole Manav Teerth team, Benefit Chata, Sadan Pauji, Financia, who have helped, and the Achhoti team as well, who have supported me to do the same. Yeah, this was from my side. Thank you for listening. Yeah.
Thank you, Jay. So nice to hear, and it was wonderful to actually see the. We thoroughly enjoyed the examples that you shared, and it was very nice to actually hear that. I got to see Vinayak and the family as well, right? So now we open the floor for questions for on this session for Jay. So anyone who wants to ask anything or start a discussion for the people who are here today. Okay, so I think we had some good points actually getting discussed here. Uh, Jay talked about a number of things. He actually started off saying that how Babaji has positioned this darshan, right? He said that he started off with, on the lines of idealism, but what he discovered is the vikalp or the alternative of both idealism and materialism, right? So he is not denouncing the past, but being grateful for the past, but at the same time presenting his discovery as as the alternative, right? So that was one thing that Jay has had brought this to our attention. He also talked about uh, uh, the thing about Sthiti and Gati, right? That was something that actually also stood out for me. Sthiti is something that is about being, that yes, something that is with me. And Gati is, or the motion is how we manifest it. So there are two aspects of anything, right? So, and consciousness clearly is something about reflective aspect, and right? So consciousness has both the reflective aspect and the manifesting aspect. So it is the conscious experience is about uh, reflecting aspect. Like for example, when we taste, right? The feeling of the taste, the sweetness of the taste, or the feeling of trust and respect that we get, right? That's a conscious experience that we call it the state or the being, right? But about expressing that thing, that will be gati, right? So, so that so that was something that Jay actually explained it so well. He talked about a number of experiences of his own uh, life, that how uh, one of the things that he said was that uh, the goal is not a point, right? But is a state, right? It's not that you actually happiness is a point that you reach, and that it's not a point, but it is a state of being, right? So that is also a very important um, realization, right? And so any other questions that we have for Jay here, or anything that we want to bring to the for discussion here? Chandransh Bhaiya said liked a lot about his explanation. So nice of you to say that. Yeah. Suren Bhaiya, anything you would like to say?
Bhaiya, I was just about to open my mic and you immediately called my name. So good.
I
What a
have
coincidence, I
intuition.
would say. Yes. Well, I just wanted to congratulate Jai Beta ji. Uh, it was just like Trista Beta and Spencer earlier, Spencer Bhai. Jai Beta ji's presentation was so fluent, full of confidence, and I too enjoyed anecdotes from and real incidents from Babaji's life and his examples. So overall, a very good, thoroughly enjoyable presentation. So I just wanted to congratulate him. Wonderful to hear. That's it. Jai.
Thank you, Bhaiya. Thank you, Bhaiya. So nice. Uh, Rishta, anything you would like to add or say to this?
No, I also just wanted to congratulate Jay. It was very nice listening to him read this out and share in so much detail and explain his perspective throughout. It was really lovely hearing all of your interpretations and also all the anecdotes that you said. I was very happy to be part of this. Congratulations.
Yes. So nice. Yeah, I think all of us need
Chandran
to.
Bhaiya had raised his hand.
Yes, Chandrash Bhaiya, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to discuss one point actually. I just gave a thought about it while Dev said that he just gave an example about Babaji about this one when we add a drop with another drop of water, it just makes one drop, and just to give the that we have to live in reality instead of just reading it in books. So it was really like thoughtful, and it was something that we have to live in reality, not just think, go on with the information, right? So I as Baba used to say, this is a bill actually. So this was something that just came to my mind, and it just stuck. So
Yeah,
yeah, that's
right.
why I said, he the way he used these examples, it just helped in understanding it in a better way. So yeah,
Yeah.
thanks, and it's great to see you after so long.
Right. So the one thing that basically stands out in the interactions with Babaji, that though he is talking about the profound realities and absolute realities, at the same time he is so much grounded with common sense, right? So which actually was very disarming also, that he was able to relate with the day-to-day experience, the commonsensical experience, along with the absolute reality realization and things. So that used to actually be very interesting, right? I mean, something that would make the reality grounded with the present, right? So it was very nice and good. Are there any other things, Sanjeev Bhaiya? Anything you would like to add or suggest?
Bhaiya, congratulations to Jai Beta, and it was a well-delivered session. I mean, just like Drishta and Spencer did, and the explanations which like, I mean, the one difference, a little bit of which I realized or observed today was that your explanations were more frequent. I mean, you were even
Yeah.
every 2 or 3 sentences you were giving your own interpretations, which was very heartening to see. It's very heartening to see everyone who has come in these sessions so far, giving their own how they have interpreted Madhyasth Darshan, how they are seeing its relationship with their own personal lives. Okay, relating with what Babaji used to say, as well as what you are seeing in your life. So that is very nice to see. And one specific thing which you said caught my attention. It was very thought provoking. In this session, you said that the systems nowadays are focused on the criminals, how to handle the criminals. Okay, the most of the energy is focused in that direction. But there are people who are living right also. They are just left like that. So actually the energy of the system, it will be good if जो बाबा जी ने भी इस चीज को कहा है कि जो सही है उसका अध्ययन करने में ज्यादा एनर्जी लगानी है द राइट हैज टू बी स्टडीड द राइट हैज टू बी sort of multiplied. Right has to be handled. When we handle the right, part right in the right manner, then the right will multiply. The system is focusing more on the wrong side. And it was very aptly put, I would say. Congratulations again.
Very nice. Yeah, this is something very insightful, right? So, so much time and energy we spend on basically understanding how things can be wrong or how the wrong things are, but the right, we understanding the how the right actually is. Yeah. So, is something which actually with that you can actually assess what all can be wrong, but focus needs to be on what is right, what is correct, what is justice, right? So, this is very different from the traditional idealistic approach also, right? Like where they said that, okay, we know the pain is the reality, right? Or the dukh जो है वो सच्चाई है ना? So, for example, if you have a thumb and you hit it with a hammer, right, that you know that it pains. So pain is a reality in that sense. So that is how it actually builds that, okay, pain is a reality. Dukh ek aare satya hai. That kind of a thing that you start with. But here Babaji is saying that Sukh is a reality, and that is a reality that is common across, right? So he turns the tables and say that happiness is a reality and Dukh is the absence of that. So now basically he is turning the table from seeing that problem being a reality, he's saying that solution is the reality, right? So he basically puts the reference to the solution rather than to the problem. That makes all the difference, right? So, I think, is there anyone else that who would like to join or say anything before we conclude today's session? Ganesh Bhaiya, anything you would like to add?
Namaste,
Namaste.
everyone. It's a wonderful session by Jay. And yeah, I was also thinking what goes wrong in relationships. So, through my personal experience, I can say that most of the time, uh, what I have observed, the relationship have gone due to some factors, maybe like selfish nature, or you can say priya hitlap, like Babaji says, and not thinking on justice or nyaya dharam satya. So that is one of the reasons that relations are going in the wrong direction. And second reason could be like fear of lagging behind. Once a person don't understand all are equal, or they distinguish people on the basis of many criterias, so everyone is in the race, and there is a fear that the people I may not leave behind, and that is also spoiling the relations. And the third reason which I am feeling is the misunderstanding many of the time, like being a teacher of or rather most part I have taught on communication skills. So I feel that yes, this is one of the reason that misunderstanding I'm not able to explain, and the relationship goes wrong. So yes, it was a wonderful session. Congratulations, and I think these youngsters are in the building of good prabodhaks, and the future is in the good hands. So many more will be joining them. Thank you, Bhaiya. I'm enjoying this session. Wonderful session. Wonderful.
Yes, indeed. The new generation gives us so much hope. Yeah. So with this, we will conclude today's session and we will join next on Wednesday. So thank you very much and good night and have a nice day, all of you. Okay, bye-bye.
Okay,
Namaste,
bye-bye.
namaste. Good night. Good night, everyone. Good night.